Well, hello there. I'm back. I'm here to do some Super Chat catch-ups because I didn't quite get through them the other night when I was doing my Ask the Drinker stream. So I got my bottle of wine and I'll keep going until, until the booze runs out. But yeah, here's my slightly different layout in my office here because I'm very much aware that the background that we had before was boring as fuck for people to look at. So I've tried to reorder things a little here, so at least you've got something vaguely interesting to look at. There's a whole bunch of lighting and stuff in those cabinets there that I haven't connected up yet because I haven't had time to wire everything in. But yeah, hopefully when I'm done, it'll look slightly more interesting. So hey, I'm doing my best here. I'm not like Gary. I don't have like an entire room filled with amazing collectibles and shit. Like I just don't have the time to get all that stuff together. But hey, I'm doing what I can here. Anyway, yeah, there's a whole bunch of these super chats that I need to get through that people were good enough to send to me, and I'm going to do my best to give you some half decent responses. So, here we go. The last one I got to was Robert Thompson, who says, oh no, sorry, that was a Production Hell video about 13th Warrior. I remember talking about that actually. Master of Puppets, who said, Hail Drinker, in the Ryan Drake series there was a woman who was pregnant. When she came back there was no mention of it. I thought she may have lost it, but she was told that she could be with her family. Did I miss something? No, you did not. There is a bit more to that. That was a little hook that I built in for the next Ryan Drake adventure. So she was indeed pregnant, and she no longer is when we catch up with her because it's like a year or so later. Um, whatever became of the child? Well, perhaps we'll find out in a future book. But yeah, when they were talking about reuniting with her family, yeah, it was, I think, more referencing her father that she believed had been killed and who hadn't, in fact. He was still alive. So that's the story behind that. So I think if I was to pick up the Ryan Drake series again, it's maybe 10 years down the line, and you could do some interesting things with that storyline and with Drake and where he's going to be in at that stage of his life. So yeah, I guess let's see what happens with it. But yeah, it wasn't forgotten. It was very much planned on my part. Claudio Rogajan says, we talk about movies, but how bad has music gotten? Oh, fuck yeah. I saw a really interesting video about this, actually, just talking about how music now, like pop music, is objectively worse than it was like 30, 40 years ago. And you can prove it based on like the dynamic range of songs and like the complexity of the chords and everything, more so even than just like how interesting it is to listen to or how good the lyrics are. There's like a provable scientific formula for how shit music is now. And it's really scary stuff. Like it's just getting progressively dumbed down to the point where, damn man, who knows what we're gonna end up with? It's just gonna be like one flat chord playing throughout the whole song. The Gek03 says, what would it take for creatives that actually love the established IPs they come in on to get priority with execs versus egotists that just want to destroy? I mean, that's what it is, man. You'd think hiring people who really care about the IP and want to do the best job possible and just want to tell a really good story would make sense, rather than picking like either egomaniacs like Taika Waititi or fucking activists masquerading as artists. You know, those are the people who are not going to do good things for an IP, but that seems to be what they keep doing, man. I'm at a loss to explain it, but they fail every single time. Juan Sendigar, sorry, Sendijar says, "What are your thoughts on Hellraiser 2022?" Okay, so yeah, they've gender swapped Pinhead, which yeah, fantastic idea, great. You know, I'm pretty sure his backstory that he was originally a World War One officer in the British Army who solved the puzzle box and then eventually got turned into Pinhead. So not sure how they're going to rework that with a woman, but maybe they'll just do a completely different backstory for him. But yeah, I mean, the Hellraiser movies, especially the first one, were just great films, like properly gory, properly sinister. I very much enjoyed them. I just don't know how you're going to be able to top that, really. Matt Shelfer says the Lords of Gondor have returned. Yeah, all 300 of them. Brandon Hansen says Amazon Prime, good storytelling. I'm coming to kill you in the fantasy genre, the Lord of the Rings books. Lord of the Rings fans, you mean metaphorically? Amazon Prime, no, in real life. Yep, that's pretty much what they're doing. That latest episode, man, fucking hell. I said I wasn't going to do a scripted review until the whole season was over, but I might be tempted to do it now, just with how shitty that episode 6 was. I'm gonna have to say something, man. Break it down. Next one was Shogun, who said, "Hi, Drinker. I asked you about Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. You said you heard negative opinions. Just wanted to know, are there any other fans out there?" Well, I guess we'll know once this goes out. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are people who liked it. Like I say, I don't know much about the Dark Crystal series, so I couldn't really tell you whether this was a good adaptation or not. Um, yeah, it's just not been my thing, to be honest. Skynet One says, "Who's your favorite Lord of the Rings character and why is it Sauron?" I mean, at this point, yeah, it kind of is Sauron. I just want him to win. None of these people deserve to survive. Like the Harfoots are absolute psychopaths. Galadriel's a bitch. The Númenóreans are a bunch of useless arseholes who have to be told what to do. And the southern people are just useless peasants rolling about in the mud. So yeah, nobody's really endearing themselves to me at this point. Favorite characters from the actual proper Lord of the Rings. Um, Gosh, I want to say someone like Aragorn because he is just fucking awesome. He's the quintessential male archetype hero. Um, but my heart says Sam. I think he's such a fantastic character. I think he goes through such a journey. I think he's proof that you don't have to be some mighty lord or some great warrior to have done incredible things with your life. He's a gardener, and ultimately saves the entirety of Middle Earth. That is pretty fucking awesome. I just love that message, and I love his portrayal, both in the books, like the way he's developed, and the way he's portrayed in the movie. I think Sean Astin does a great job with him. Shazy Channel says, "Are you going to watch season 3 of The Boys, or have you given up after season 2?" I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. Season 2 really killed my enjoyment of that show. I've heard that season 3 is pretty good up until the ending, and so I probably will watch it. It's just, particularly when it comes to TV shows right now, I have got, you know, She-Hulk. I've got Andor, I've got Rings of Power, and I've got House of the Dragon. So like 4 different shows that I'm watching, and I'm going to end up reviewing, obviously. So I've got to then fit it in on top of that. So it will get done. It's just it may take a while, I guess. Patty P says, "All hail the drinker and Stingray. Do you think Wolverine will finally get his comic suit?" I think if it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to happen in a Daredevil. Sorry, not a Daredevil movie, a Deadpool movie. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds seems like the kind of guy who would get that done, and Hugh Jackman seems to be up for it, I guess. Yeah, it's we'll see what comes of it. I felt like it probably would have made sense to just retire him after Logan, which is what he seemed to want to do. But he and Ryan are good mates, and Hugh Jackman seems like a good sport, so I guess he's up for doing it. Claudia Rogajan says, "How are you not dead from drinking, lol?" I think maybe I am. My body might be dead from drinking, and my soul is definitely dead from modern entertainment. Tinso says, "Have you seen The Prince of Egypt?" Yeah, I have. Gosh, it was way back in the day, so it's been a long time, but yeah, I remember quite liking it. I really like the animation style of it, actually. Yeah, again, that's that style you just do not get anymore, but yeah, I remember it being an alright movie. Clay Martin says, "I felt the latest episode of House of the Dragon was more reminiscent of seasons 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones, and not in a good way. Introducing and killing characters so quickly. Am I the only one that had an issue with it?" Um, I mean, they are definitely like bringing in a lot more characters now. Since we had the time jump, Yeah, I agree. There's a lot more going on, and there's a lot more people, and you're not given as much time to get to know them before they start killing them. So yeah, there's definitely that issue going on. I would argue that the people they introduce are just there to serve a specific purpose for before getting offed. So it's not killed my enjoyment of the show, but it's got a few wobbles. I'll give it that. Alan Paxton says, "You think things are bad now? Danny Boyle is working on a stage show around the Matrix. Fucking hell. Loving the content and look forward to starting your new book. Thank you very much, man. I hope you enjoy the book. And yeah, fuck the Matrix at this point." KTE says, "If you were hired to write a new Alien, what would it be about?" Um, Fuck, this is a tough one, right? Because I talked about Predator, and when we talked previously about doing an Alien versus Predator movie or just a standalone Predator film, I would have liked to have seen it just go up against the Colonial Marines as they were portrayed in Aliens. I think that would be awesome fun. But yeah, like an Alien film by itself, I don't know. Do you go for like an epic action movie thing and try and top Aliens, where like the aliens actually, spread out and start to invade Earth, and the Marines have got to try and stop them, and it's just like a bunch of pitched battles like World War Z or something. You could potentially do it that way. I don't want to see any more prequels. Like I don't want to see like another fucking Alien Covenant or anything like that. Like giving you big pretentious like meaning of life questions that it doesn't even know how to answer. It's yeah, I would probably go for something in the mold of Aliens, where you've got a strike team or something that's got to try and either capture an alien or take them down or something like that. Because I think when you got to the stage of like Alien Resurrection, and they were tinkering with like gene splicing and trying to like resurrect a clone of Ripley with an alien inside her. It was like, oh god, this just feels shit now. So yeah, I mean that would be my suggestion, but I think at this point there's been so many alien movies that I don't really know what you could do that would be fresh and interesting right now. Erwin Davis says, "Who's the better Mary Sue, Captain Marvel or Ray?" I mean, by better, do you mean like who fulfills the criteria of a Mary Sue more effectively, or who is like the less unlikable character? I mean, that is a tough one. Like, I think Ray is slightly less obnoxiously annoying than Captain Marvel, so I'd probably pick her on those grounds. But when you're talking about how overpowered and ridiculous they are, I'd probably hand that to Captain Marvel. She is a more complete Mary Sue, if that makes sense, because we get the whole like, oh yeah, you're funny and awesome and you're my best friend and everything, and we never see anything that actually backs that up. She's just this humorless block of wood throughout the entire movie. Yeah, she becomes effectively a god by the end of the film. She can do anything. She's got unlimited powers, more or less, and so that pretty much puts her into like ultimate Mary Sue territory right there. So yeah, it just depends what your criteria is, really. I don't consider either of them to be good characters. Scrambler 37th is, "Hail Drinker, my father, Michael, and I are big fans. He's turning 52 soon. Could you wish him a happy birthday?" Well, yes, happy birthday to you, Michael. I know this is a couple of days late, but I hope you get the chance to see this, and I hope you had a fantastic day, my friend. And he says, "For my question, which Cobra Kai characters had the most interesting arc? Thank you, sir, and keep kicking ass." I'd say probably Hawk has had the best arc, because he's gone from like geeky, bullied kid to being like the badass with the mohawk and everything, to basically having that taken away from him, and him being knocked down a peg or two and really losing his confidence, but then regaining it again to become a kick-ass champion, and win the tournament. So I think he's gone on that real emotional roller coaster. So for me, yeah, it's got to be Hawk. I think he's had the best arc. Claudia Rogojan says, "Did you see Angry Joe's Saint Rose review? It's great." Yeah, I haven't seen his review yet, but yeah, I've heard the game is absolute garbage. So I would imagine he went in hard on it. No Known Such says, have you heard or read about the scrapbooking rumor concerning Indiana Jones 5 script and possibly other Disney creations? Could explain a lot. No, I haven't heard that rumor, so I'm not sure what that is. I'm intrigued though. Joseph's Dots says, Drinker, you golden prophetic cultural icon, have a couple of tenants on me. Cheers. Well, I don't have any tenants here because it's absolute devil's piss water, but I've got some wine, so I'll down that. Thank you very much, my friend. Arthur Brogden says, so play Blade as Black Deadpool. Easy peasy. I wouldn't want to see that. Blade should not. Blade should definitely not be like Deadpool. Nario Returns gave me $5, so thanks, man. Night King 01 says, I think Cobra Kai is getting a bit repetitive, and a lot of the teen drama stuff is kind of cringe. Barely any Mike Barnes. Also, I think Terry is dying. Yeah, there was hints about that actually. I'll address all of these points. So yeah, there was a couple of moments where Terry was talking about like time being the one thing that he can't buy, and it did make me think, is he? You got something wrong with him that we don't know about. They do run into him in a hospital at one point as well. So it makes me think maybe he's on the way out. Yeah, Mike Barnes felt like such a wasted opportunity. I like what they did with him. The fact that he's not just still a stock evil bad guy, like he was in his movie. He's kind of redeemed himself and just turned his life around and become a nice guy. And then he gets drawn back into this big conflict. But yeah, he's only in one episode, then he disappears for the bulk of the season, and then he just shows up again in the finale. And I thought, they could have done more with him because the actor's reasonably good and he can definitely still fight. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen him do a bit more. Like even the climactic fight, he gets knocked out for the bulk of it. So yeah, it did feel like a bit of a wasted opportunity. And yeah, to answer your point about the teen drama stuff, I agree 100%. To some extent, Johnny took a back seat in this, which is a real shame this season. And characters like Sam have basically been stuck in a fucking holding pattern for the past several seasons now. It's like, I get it. You're scared of Tori, and she injured you, and you don't know how to move past this. It's just the same kind of character arc that like she's been stuck in. She's kind of stuck in a cycle, and it was getting kind of annoying after a point. The whole thing with Miguel going to Mexico to find his dad kind of went nowhere as well. Felt like it was just a way of giving him something to do for a couple of episodes because it's like he goes there and yeah, his dad turns out to be an asshole, exactly like his mum said, and then he just comes home and that's the end of that one. So felt like a plot arc that didn't really go anywhere. So yeah, there is a few issues here, and it kind of makes me think, you know, I definitely still love it, and it definitely still gets you, but maybe next season would be the right time to end it before it just jumps the shark. I think I'd rather it goes out on a high than just gradually dwindles. Randall Overson says, "That's all I've got for today. Go away now." Thanks, man. Jack White says, when are you going to be in New York, and where exactly in New York will you be, and what for?" So I am going to be in New York in like about 10 days from now. I'm just going for a week. I'm going to be on vacation, so not doing any official stuff. I'm going to be there for a few days, and then I'm going to Washington DC for a few days, and then I'm going to fly home. So yeah, just want to have a bit of fun. I've not been in New York for like almost or over 10 years now, actually. So I really want to go back, and this seemed like an ideal time. So yeah, that's the plan. Akumu X says She-Hulk and Rings of Power is so bad that I'm genuinely finding myself feeling bad for the actors and actresses that are contracted to do their lines. You? I don't know, man. Some of them, yes. I feel bad for Tatiana Maslany because I feel like she's actually not a terrible actress, but man, she's got nothing to work with here. In terms of the Rings of Power actors, most of them I have got no sympathy for because they just come across as total assholes, and so yeah, I've got no real sympathy there. A few of them, like the guy who's playing Elendil, I know he's a good actor, and he's way too good for what he's doing. You know, he's like better than this. So yeah, I feel bad for him. Adrian Fart says, long-time fan, thanks for all your great content. Watched Age of Ultron again. I really enjoyed it. How would you compare it to all of Phase 4 characters? Sorry, all of Phase 4 characters, writing, plot, action, comedy, and visuals. Yeah, I mean, compared to the previous Avengers movie, Age of Ultron was a real disappointment, and it definitely didn't live up to the trailers, which were fucking awesome. But yeah, you compare it to what we have now in Phase 4. It's all relative, but compared to that, it's not bad at all. So I would happily watch that over pretty much any other Phase 4 movie. Yeah, I wish they could have done something better with James Spader. Like, you've got him; he's an amazing actor, great voice, great performance. Like, God, use him. Don't just make him a joke. Tracy Wilborn says, thanks for recommending The Death of Stalin. It was one of the funniest films I've seen in a long while. Yeah, Death of Stalin is fantastic. I was blown away when I first watched it. I just thought, this is fucking class. It feels like a movie that didn't get anywhere near the attention it deserved, so I tried to help out a little bit, and well, I'm glad people enjoyed it. Nario Returns gave me $10. Thank you, my friend. Taoist Viking says you should check out the horror movie Wolf Cop. He's half man, half wolf, and all cop. I'm all on board, man. Love it. We are into October now as well, so it's time for me to start doing some horror movie reviews. I can't say your name because it's in weird characters, but it says, "Are you excited for any upcoming video games?" Um, Probably God of War Ragnarok because I quite like the previous one, so that should be decent. And the new Modern Warfare, like Modern Warfare 2, is coming out at the end of the month, so I'm kind of looking forward to playing that because, man, like in terms of the multiplayer and stuff, played the absolute shit out of the first one. So yeah, could do with a new game like that. So yeah, they should be okay, I would hope. David A says, "You seen Anthony Mackie bashing Hollywood, making movies for kids and China? He has a point." Yeah, Anthony Mackie is based as fuck, man. He knows exactly what's up, and he is not playing into it at all. So yeah, respect to him for calling that shit out. Caustic Main says, "Speaking of great scores, if you like Japanese animated movies, check out The Sword of the Stranger. It was difficult to find when I saw it, however." Okay, cool. Thanks for the recommendation, my friend. Ender says, "Since you said that you were a fan of Ford versus Ferrari, have you watched Rush, the F1 movie with Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Bruhl? What did you think about it if you'd seen it already?" Yeah, so that's Nicky Lauda versus James. Oh, I can never remember his fucking surname. But yeah, like that epic rivalry that they had. And yeah, man. I'm not an expert in F1 by any means, but like I was gripped by the movie. I thought it was really good. I thought Hemsworth and Bro gave both really good performances. Yeah, obviously a lot of it was going to revolve around that crash that Lauda had, where he's fucking burned to a crisp. And yet a few weeks later, there he was racing again. Just the absolute fucking drive of that guy was incredible. So yeah, a good film, and I probably prefer Ford versus Ferrari, but Rush is a good movie. Next one was Tadeus Vancura says, "How do you think Cobra Kai came into existence and got to be so damn good? I mean, it's the product of YouTube and Netflix of all corporations. What's the secret recipe there?" I think they've got fantastic writers who really care about the source material. It's like Schlossenberg and some other guy. It's like a writing duo. I think they really paid attention to like the lore, if you can call it that, just the events of the previous movies, and they worked them into a cohesive narrative that makes sense in the present day. And yeah, like you can just tell the care that went into it. These guys were into the characters; they cared about them, and the fact that they still had the original actors available, like most of them are still alive, and so they could use them again. That was a great, a great way of doing it. And yeah, it on the face of it, it seemed like it should have been garbage. Like particularly, it debuted on YouTube Red, like a defunct streaming service that nobody was interested in. It probably didn't have a huge budget, and yet there it was. Like from the very first episode, I was like, "This is fucking great! It's so funny." It's self-referential. It absolutely pokes fun at modern society and all of its bullshit. But it's also got a core of like pathos for characters like Johnny, and they got the balance just right. And honestly, I want to see these guys work on like basically every franchise. Like I would, they could have done wonders for something like Lord of the Rings. I think just the level of care and attention to detail that they have. I think they could have done a much better job than J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay. Um, Next one is the Batman, who says, "Hey Drinker, ever considered doing a Drinker recommends on Aliens 1986?" I mean, do I need to at this point? Like, it goes without saying. It's just a pretty much a perfect movie. I've already done a happy hour on it where I spent like a good couple of hours gushing about it. Um, really, beyond that, there's not much more I can say. It's just a fantastic film, and everyone should see it. They probably have already. Uh, Koi Yujo says horror's dying. Horror is a dying art. Aliens is fucking good example of real horror. No jump scares. Reasons why it's a damn classic. Indeed. I mean, jump scares have got their place for sure, but yeah, I think horror. It's a genre that goes through so many cycles. Things go in and out of vogue. Obviously, back in the 80s, you had slasher movies. The 90s and the early 2000s, it all got very self-referential and deconstructed, where you had movies like Scream, which the original was fantastic, but it all got very derivative after that. And you've got things like the Conjuring and all that, like the found footage movies. Every horror director is looking for the next big thing, the next trope, or the next fad that they can follow. No genre, I think, falls into that trap more than horror. But there's so few like genuinely scary horror films out there, and it's a shame. E. Smith says, "Went to see Bullet Train with my buddy last Saturday and it was worth every penny. So glad I waited to see it in theaters. One of the best movies, certainly action movies, released in 2022. Cheers." Yeah, nice one, man. Good recommendation, and yeah, looking forward to reviewing it myself. Doey says, "Sorry I said mid." Yeah. It's not your fault, man. It's just one of those things that's doing the rounds at the moment. But yeah, I just it pisses me off. It's such a it just feels like one of those things that's gonna have its like moment for about a month or two, and then everyone will stop using it. Diano says, "Do a Halloween happy hour, including Prince of Darkness stream with Robert Meyer Burnett." Sorry, I'll try that again. Robert Meyer Burnett. Are you going to review or avoid Rob Zombie's The Monsters? I mean, I the casting looks okay. I think I just not sure I care about the monsters that much that I really feel like I have to watch it. But yeah, it would be great to do a happy hour run actually on horror movies. I've already done, yeah, I've done a full review of Prince of Darkness already. So yeah, I've kind of covered that to some extent. But hey, like I'm always happy to talk with Robert. He's a great guest to have on, and he's just got great insights. Rafe M says, "Have you ever listened to The Midnight? They make retro synthwave music." Oh, fucking sign me up then. Their song America 2 is absolutely perfect. Yeah, man, I love that sound, that synth sound. It's just so reminiscent of the 80s, and yeah, like all those Vangelis soundtracks from like classic 80s movies. Just absolutely takes you back. Michael Carney says, "I'm a massive Daft Punk fan, so I love the Tron Legacy soundtrack and the film. It's my guilty pleasure. Voice, good or bad, I'll always love it." Yeah, I feel like Tron Legacy, right? I need to rewatch it because it didn't make much of an impression on me at the time. I think the original Tron has just got a real retro charm to it because obviously the computer graphics are about as rudimentary as they get. I get this feeling that they're hand drawn as well in a lot of cases. They've got an almost like animated cartoon look about them. Not sure how they did it VFX wise, but obviously you can get past all that with the modern one, and so it just becomes like a generic CGI heavy story. So yeah, I don't know if I rewatched it now, it would have a better effect on me. Andrew Montpetit says, "Check out the movie The Outfit when you can." Okay. Jeff Yang says, "Congrats, Drinker, on the short film announcement. If you could have any actor portray Ryan Drake for a full series, TV or film, who would you pick?" That is the tough one because, yeah, you're looking for a guy who's, you know, mid to late 30s, dark hair, muscular, good, kind of ruggedly good looking. Yeah, it's and can do the action scenes, and so you kind of, yeah. I'm trying to think of actors now doing the rounds that would be able to kind of capture that, and I'm coming up short because there aren't many nowadays. I think when I originally described Ryan Drake when I wrote him, I had Colin Farrell in mind, but he's too old now. Chris Pratt's starting to dip his toes into doing more serious action movies and stuff, and he's the right age, but like he's not quite gotten away from his comedy roots. I think this is one of the things that I noticed at the Terminal list. He can do action scenes, but when he has to do the heavy drama stuff, he doesn't quite have that gravitas yet. Maybe it'll come. Maybe he just needs a bit more time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the short film. Like I say, we're going to be announcing it officially fairly soon. And I know this is kind of an official announcement already because a lot of people are going to see this. But I'll give full details on how we're going to be doing it and what we're kind of looking to accomplish with all this fairly soon. Koi Yujo says, "Also, when I say real horror, it relies on tension." Yeah, exactly. Not cheap jump scares is what I mean. Also, cheers, Mr. Drinker. Yeah, a horror movie that can actually give you an atmosphere of real tension is a rare thing. The Shining absolutely did it. The Thing did it. It can be done, but yeah, it needs to be built up carefully. Brandon Lee says, "Just wanted to say I appreciate your content and I love your voice. I'll never get bored watching what you put out." Oh, thank you very much, man. I'm glad you like my voice. I hate it, but I have to hear it every day. So what can I say? Bardrop says, "Deacon St. John's great in cutscenes. In the open world, he sounds like he's about to pass out or throw up." Yeah, it's weird. It's like the voice actor was given two very different briefs. Like he can go from like cool, reserved and badass to like sounding like he's about to shit his pants in a heartbeat. And so it is a bit weird and off-putting. It feels like he's quite inconsistent as a character, but you know what? I do like him, and I like the game. It's good fun. It's one that you can just do in little chunks, and it's just a fun environment to explore. And I love that feeling sometimes you get when it's like I'm too far from a settlement. It's getting dark, and my bike is running low on fuel. It's like, what do I do? I'm gonna have to ditch it, or I'm gonna try and walk it back to camp. I've been in that position a few times, like, and when you get the hordes, man, they're just like a tidal wave of zombies coming at you. It's like not 28 days later. It's like World War Z. Man, they are unstoppable. Big Dave K says, "Hey Drinker, have you seen Cobra Kai? I want your thoughts on it." I have indeed, and yeah, I might try to gather a hand-picked team and we'll talk about season 5. Johnny's says, "Spider-Man on PS5. Play it, good sir. Great gameplay mechanics and a surprisingly good story to coincide with it. Dark Harvest equals chef's kiss." I had to decipher that one. There's a lot of emojis going on there. Glad you enjoyed the book, man. And yeah, I've never really played any Spider-Man game ever on any console, so maybe it's about time I start. Little Scorpion 69 says, "Do you still believe the MCU should have ended after Endgame? After even your love for Spider-Man No Way Home. I also love Shang-Chi as well, even though you didn't. It was a blast for me." I mean, I'm glad you enjoyed Shang-Chi, man. It just wasn't my kind of movie. But yeah, I would have happily seen the MCU end after Endgame. As much as I enjoyed No Way Home, it wasn't that fucking good that like I would go through all this just to get to it. Marcelo Souza says, "How long until woke culture bends every movie studio and all we have is bland and boring movies? Cheers from Brazil." I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. Hopefully, it'll eventually wane like any trends. follow the money and all that. Eventually, they will stop making money from these movies because nobody wants this crap. We just have to hope. Erland Akara says, have you ever tried putting a bounty in the freezer before eating it? It will change your life. I haven't tried that, no, and I do like a bounty. Yeah, they're pretty good. So if there's anything I can do to like enhance my bounty eating experience, then maybe I need to do that. Thanks, man. The Tingler 1959 says, check out the spaghetti horror coming out of Italy in the 70s. Bloody Sabbath 1971, good place to start. Yeah, didn't they produce loads of zombie movies as well back then? And they were like super gory. So yeah, I'm all in, man. Mason Leppert says, love Dark Harvest. Thank you, man. Noir777 says, I've never understood why they have never made a Fallout TV show. You could make it relatively cheaply and just follow a regular survivor in the Fallout universe and show how dangerous everything is. Absolutely, yeah. The aesthetic, the dark sense of humor, the conspiracy plot lines that you get with Vault Tech and everything. Like, there's loads you can do with that. And like you say, it wouldn't be that hard. You just need a kind of ruined environment with like lots of dilapidated buildings and stuff. It's relatively easy to do. And yeah, I do love me a bit of Fallout, as you can see behind you. I've got like some power armor and a Fat Boy nuke and stuff there. That's my Fallout section of the shelf. So yeah, man, I'd love to see something like that done properly. Brutal's channel says, still waiting for the day you do a drinker recommends for The Crow. Thanks for the content. Keep up the good work. Thanks, man. And yeah, maybe this could be a good time to do it. We're into October. The Crow set around Halloween, so maybe I will do a little review. Stay tuned. Liam Stewart says, have you seen the original Old Boy? Yes. A lot to dig into. Would very much like to see a proper take from you someday. Yeah, I have seen it, and yeah, it's never given more relevance to that old saying, smile and the whole world smiles with you. That smile at the end, man. Oh, that's painful. Yeah, Old Boy's a fantastic movie. Red State says, would love to see a review of Dogma. It's lost in time, but within the realm of good Kevin Smith movies. God, Dogma. Yeah, that's a right old one. I would need to rewatch it, to be honest with you, give you a proper take on it. Artful of Joy Dance says, Jeremiah Johnson, ever seen it? I haven't, I'm afraid, mate. Sorry. Zach Marcello says, thoughts on the new Planet of the Apes movie coming? I know there isn't much known yet other than the title. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this. The reboot trilogy is, to its credit, really fucking good. But it feels like they told a complete story there, and I don't really know where they can go from here. Yeah, the apes have already taken over. Humans are no more, really. All you're going to get is like the kind of setup that you had in the original, where the survivors of the human race are just like primitive cavemen who can't speak, and the apes have taken over everything. And Caesar's had his character arc, and he's dead now. So yeah, I don't know, man. If it's the same people that worked on the the reboot trilogy, then I'll give it a go. But yeah, I'm not too optimistic right now. Kieran Earl says, Drinker recommends Withnell and I. Yeah, lots of drinking in that one. It's pretty good, yeah. Richard E. Grant's great in it. Matuz Tokarski says, hey Drinker, I'm down with Virus of Unspecified Origin. Sorry, man. Hope you feel better. I'd love to watch some good horror stuff. Any recommendations for some less known stuff? Maybe something like Event Horizon or maybe The Descent. Both of them are really good. I've already done recommendations for them. What else? I'm trying to think of ones that I haven't already recommended. Dog Soldiers, yeah, I've done that actually. So that is a good little horror movie. Yeah, at this point, you're gonna have to probably wait a few days for my next like horror movie review, because I'm planning a few and I don't want to give them away now. That's why I'm racking my brains here. It's like one that is not going to be on my list to review this month, but I would also recommend, and it's really tough. So bear with me on that one and wait until I bring out a few reviews this month. I will say Creep is probably a good one. It's a British horror movie. It's set in the London Underground, and it's got some nice disturbing scenes in it. So that's a good little one. Give that a go. Devich Laszlo says, "Have you seen Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen? Could be worth a drinker recommends or extra shots. I think. Yeah, Shoot 'Em Up's really good. Yeah, he does a great kill move on the villain at the end. Never would have thought to do that myself, but it was pretty fucking cool. So yeah, it's a decent movie. I like that. John Yarborough says, "Watch Cop Shop from last year. Great movie. Great female lead also. Cool. I saw the trailers for it and it looked okay, but never got beyond that really. Does this dress make my ass look big?" Says, "You are mishearing the sailors chant in Rings of Power. It's not the sea is always right. It's the sea is always right, as in the letter C, as in see you next Tuesday." That's pretty much the ethos of this show, to be fair. Zach Marcello says, "I'm really looking forward to the dinner scene in the next Andor episode." I'm not sure what that is, but okay. Elizabeth Van Frisian gave me €10, so thank you. Brutal's channel says, "Still waiting for the day you do a drinker recommends on the Crow." Oh yeah, we had that one already. Must have just been repeated. Akumu X says, "What's your take on the EU accents in Rings of Power?" EU. I'm not sure. But yeah, the accents in general, they range from like just generic, I want to give gravitas to whatever I'm saying, so I'm going to speak with a posh English accent, to kind of over the top Scottish, to like the ridiculous Irish accents that they gave the Harfoots. So it's a real hit and miss kind of show, to be honest. Artful of Joy Dance says, "Do you ever play D&D? I'm a pro DM, stream on Twitch. Would love to hit a game with you." Sorry, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, I played a bit of Warhammer in my time, but never that, I'm afraid. So I would have no clue what I was doing. Jeffrey Hollister gave me a super sticker saying he's a fan, so thanks, man. Jeffrey Stenquist says, "Could you do a scene comparison between Galadriel training the Numenorians and the bayonet training scene from Glory? One great, the other is Rings of Power." That's a good point, actually. Yeah, there's so many scene comparisons you could do there. I would rather do one from like Lord of the Rings, so there's at least a fair point of comparison rather than two completely different franchises. But yeah, I take your point. I love her great idea for how you kill an orc is you shove a fucking knife into it. Wow, thanks for that. Never would have thought of that myself. Web Gator says, "Flash Gordon, absolutely. Thoughts on Buckaroo Banzai?" Buckaroo Banzai is a batshit crazy movie. I'm glad it got made. It's insane. I don't even know what to describe it with. It's it's a series of crazy events that tie together into a somewhat coherent story if you're stoned enough. But it's a fun film, and Peter Weller is great in it, and yeah, gives you some really profound advice about life as well. No matter where you go, there you are. But yeah, Flash Gordon, yeah, got to see that re-released in cinemas. Shaker Silver says, "Come on, she just doesn't want to get Alec Baldwin." I mean, who does really? John Ruiz says, "With the strong start to House of the Dragon, are you cautiously optimistic about the other Game of Thrones world projects?" It depends on the team working on it, to be honest, and how much involvement George has in it. So I would take each one on its own merits. I'm certainly not going to think now like this is halfway decent, so all is forgiven, because I think there's a whole lot that can still go wrong. John Smith says, "Worse, Kirk's death in Star Trek Generations or Luke's death in The Last Jedi?" I'm going to say Luke's is worse, because much as Generations was kind of a shitty movie, Kirk at least got to be heroic, and he was still Kirk. I didn't look at him and think this is a useless, decrepit arsehole who I pity now. He was still Captain Kirk, and William Shatner still knocked it out of the park. So yeah, Luke's one was way worse. Silver says, have you seen the vid Treasure Planet, Disney's Biggest Mistake? Highly recommended. Good vid. No, but I'll need to watch that actually because I'm interested. Matthew Valente says, what's wrong with kids watching horror movies? Kids are tougher than you think. They always are. It was the same with action movies that have got loads of gore and swearing and stuff in them. Like, my mates and I were watching shit like that when we were like 8 years old. Didn't care, didn't phase us. It was just cool. And so, same with horror. There's certain limits, obviously. You don't want to traumatize them, and it kind of depends on the kid, I guess. But yeah, generally, they're able to handle much better or much more in films than you'd imagine. Um, Sahidko says, I know two groups of people. The first loves Tolkien's lore and hates Rings of Power because what they have done to it, and the second doesn't care about lore but thinks it's boring. Yeah, either way, they both hate it. So yeah, I agree. Frozen in the 80s says, have you seen Cyberpunk 2077 Edge Runners? It's the best animated Netflix show since Arcane. No, but I'm hearing nothing but good things about it, so man, I think I need to give it a watch. Claudio Rogajan, Spawn was such a great show. Review it. I might. Shane Kirkpatrick says, what are your thoughts on the Dead Space games? Personal favourite of mine. Really looking forward to the Callisto Protocol. Yeah, I think I only played Dead Space 2, I think, so I'm not an expert on them by any stretch, but I love the world, I love the aesthetic, I love the tension and stuff, so yeah, good games, or good game that I played anyway. Inno195 says, have you considered reviewing Jessica Jones? A great series, especially in contrast to She-Hulk. Yeah, it'd be a good one to review. I'd much rather do Daredevil first, though, just because it's so good. Jessica Jones was good partly because of David Tennant. He was a fantastic villain. Kristen Ritter, I don't love her as an actress because I feel like she's a bit one note, but I think she was probably a good choice for Jessica. So, yeah, it's miles better than She Hulk for sure. Ponder My Orb says, your lament about animation made me rewatch Prince of Egypt. The 2D animation is top notch and the story humanizes both Moses and Ramesses. Highly recommend if not seen. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. The animation is fantastic in it. John Smith says they're trying to cancel Cameron's True Lies, calling it racist and sexist. Maybe a review or happy hour. Damn right. Also, how does it feel passing Red Letter Media in subscribers? I don't know. I didn't know that I had, but damn, that's pretty cool. I mean, Red Letter Media have been around like as long as I've been looking at YouTube, almost like the reviews of Star Wars and Star Trek back in the day were so kind of inspirational, I guess. But yeah, it's crazy times that I'm living in. I suppose I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, they better not fucking cancel True Lies because that's a good movie. And yeah, I think it might deserve a little drinker review. Dr. Lionhunter says, hey Drinker, is a Sunshine retrospective still on the horizon? Yeah, I could do that. I need your highly valued opinion on this underrated film. Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, it was it Danny Boyle who directed that? I know Cillian Murphy was in it, and yeah, it blended elements of sci-fi and like philosophy and horror all together into one pretty intriguing movie. So I remember enjoying it. Nancy Flores says thank you. So thank you. Koi Yujo says, Mr. Drinker, question, have you ever watched Blade? Yes, and reviewed it. I've watched it multiple times and it's a great film. So yes, I'm very happy with Blade. Daniel McCharter says, watching Rings of Power, I finally understood what Boromir meant when he said, the world of men will fall. Yep, pretty much. And the world of women will rise, apparently. Blunklord says, hey up, Drinker, ever watched Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared? Absolute indie nightmare fuel, free on YouTube. Okay, I'll take a look. Andrew James says, would you allow current film companies to make movies out of your books? Depends who it is. Not Disney, that's for fucking sure. Yeah, if it was some company that like Tom Cruise was involved in, like not starring in it, but just like producing or something, like, so keeping the message out of it, then yeah, I'd be up for that for sure. Niesgard says, The Mandalorian's perfectly kept mustache keeps me awake at night. What does it mean? What is it for? Yeah, that's it. Pedro Pascal loves his fucking tash, man. He will not be parted from it. John Papa Sergio says, Any interest in reviewing Resident Alien or Mr. Mercedes? I mean, I'll be honest, not really. Out of all the things I could do, not that. Swag McKinkey says, Hey Drinker, huge fan. Question, how sad are you that Meghan Markle's Netflix show Peel got cancelled? Oh, I was beside myself, mate. Don't know what I'm going to do. I only imagine what that would have been like. Yeah, God, Meghan Markle, she's got so much to give. Just not in the world of entertainment or speaking or doing things. Yeah, you know, I'm just I'm glad that the Americans have like repossessed her. So you're welcome to her and Harry. We don't need them anymore. Thank you. David Bowes says, "Keep up the great work. Thank you, mate." Jack White says, "I think it was a class action suit Barnes was talking about, and they have a case. James Lindsay talked about how these companies use the little guy's money to fund their woke vanity projects." Okay. M. Penn says, Have you seen the film One Shot? It follows a group of SEALs sent to extract a prisoner from a CIA black site. Pretty simple plot, but very action, felt grounded and realistic, very entertaining. I feel like I have seen that. Let me just look it up. One Shot movie. Who's in it? Scott Adkins. Yeah, he's like your sort of dependable action guy. Um, I'm sure people have talked about him before. He's kind of like a movie star in waiting, and he's been like that for the past like 10 years, just doing loads of, you know, bit parts in action movies or lower budget stuff, and just not quite hit the big time yet. Um, but yeah, I don't think I have seen this one. It's maybe a different one I'm thinking of. But yeah, need to have a look at that. Finbar White says, Hey Drinker, I hope you and the dogs are good. We are, thank you. Have you ever reviewed the film Shallow Grave? Christopher Eccleston, a great actor. Shame he did not. He wasn't in more movies. I have seen Shallow Grave, yeah, because it's got Ewan McGregor in it as well, as a very young Ewan McGregor, and it's set in and around Edinburgh. So yeah, it's pretty good actually. Yeah, I like that film. It's a Trap says, Hey Drinker, have you watched Mr. In Between? Very good if you have, if you made John Wick a grounded Australian TV series. Okay, no, I haven't seen that, I'm afraid, man. Jack White, will you ever go on Doomcop's pop culture breakdown show? Yeah, sure. I basically, I just haven't had much time with all the other things that I end up doing. Just not being able to go on. But yeah, we talk on Twitter, like DM and stuff, and yeah, I'd be happy to make an appearance. I think the problem with Pop Culture Breakdown is it not super late at night. From my point of view, it's like 2 in the morning. I'd be starting or something. Um, Excuse me. Some Norwegian guy says, if you could choose the cast and director for an Uncharted movie, who would you choose? Oh, this is fucking tough. It really is because um, yeah, there's not many actors that I think could embody that Nathan Drake persona. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of any actor who's doing the rounds now that I think could play him, who could play Sully. Fuck, it is tough actually. Um, my mind always goes blank when I'm presented with questions like this, and I don't want to just sit here in silence for the next 5 minutes just trying to think up names. It's yeah, it is a tough one. I think we're just lacking action stars at the moment, and so I'm kind of struggling to come up with anyone that I think could play that role. The older sort of mentor role of Sully, maybe someone like J.K. Simmons. I think he's probably about the right age. If you know, give him a wig and a mustache, I think he could probably play that role fairly well. Yeah, I'd quite like to see him as Sully actually. But for Drake, yeah, I'm not sure right now. Um, Autumn Sun says, "Are you planning to do a Boys season 3 review?" Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Sweeney04 says, "You weren't keen on season 2, but did you like the Boys season 3?" Yeah, so many questions about the Boys, man. I'm gonna have to review it. Does this dress make my eyes look big? Says thoughts on the Mothman prophecies. Oh God, that was that Richard Gere movie. Um, I know because it's based on real events apparently. I didn't love it, but like it wasn't scary particularly or anything. But like the story was intriguing enough. I think when it's based on real things that happened, it's yeah, it always gives it that extra uncanny air. Also, have you ever seen No Time for Sergeants from 1958, a fun comedy from that year that inspired Gomer Pyle? No, I haven't seen that one, mate. Um, Claudia Rogachan says, "Will you ever have critical children?" Yeah, maybe I have. Like, not that they can prove, but you know, I'm sure I've left a few in my wake. But that was actually the last. That was the last super chat there. So yeah, I got to the end, and I'm glad I was able to get through them all. I was able to answer them all for you guys. Um, and yeah, thank you to everyone who sent them, and like the generosity that you guys have shown. Like basically every time I do these live streams, it always impresses me, and it always just you know humbles me, if that's the right word. Yeah, the enthusiasm and the generosity that people show for the work that I do is just it's awesome stuff, and I appreciate it. Um, and yeah, the next time that you see me probably will be on Open Bar in a few days. Yeah, I'll get together a handpicked team, and I'm sure there's going to be more to go over with Rings of Power and all the usual stuff. So look for that. And yeah, for anyone who's in the UK or in Scotland specifically, next weekend I am going to be at Scotland's Comic Con in Edinburgh. So I'm going to have a guest booth and all that, and I think I'm going to be doing a couple of panel events. I'll be signing autographs. I'll be meeting fans. If there are any, who knows? Maybe some might show up, and it should be good fun. So if you're looking to yeah, basically, if you want to meet the drinker and say hello and stuff, or like throw your shoes at me or something, I will be there for the weekend. But for now, I guess that's all I've got to cover tonight. So that's all I've got for today. So go away now.